Arc Souls are getting a pretty huge buff next season, and I want to go over an exotic that takes advantage of them. Now, next season is right around the corner, and I figured I wanted to get out one last video speculating what could potentially be good and kind of just go over this specific exotic. Now, the exotic I'm talking about is Getaway Artist. If you don't know what these do, they have the exotic perk Dynamic Duo. You can hold down your grenade to convert your arc grenade into an Arc Soul and become amplified. The Arc Soul functions as an autonomous turret. So it's pretty simple. Since Arc Souls are going to be getting a 71% damage increase, you could imagine that a Arc Soul specific exotic is going to be relatively good. Now, obviously, we don't know exactly how Arc Soul is going to perform. If we take a look at stuff in game currently, pretty much everything you see, just know that that's going to be increased by 71%. So you can imagine it probably is actually going to kill a lot of enemies and do some extra damage on some higher health targets, but I don't think it will be the greatest thing, but we will just have to wait and see if it actually is going to become meta. So I think what we first need to go over is how Arc Souls work. We do have the Arc Soul fragment, where basically when you cast Rift, you get an Arc Soul, and if you're amplified, is going to supercharge that Arc Soul and it's going to shoot out 5 bursts instead of 3. Keep that in mind, because that is exactly how Getaway Artist is going to work. Getaway Artist simply just makes you have a sentient Arc Soul, which is essentially just a normal Arc Soul. It does have a little extra benefits, but since it also does make you amplified, you do get that 5-round burst Arc Soul. So in tandem, Getaway Artist and a normal amplified Arc Soul are the exact same. There's no difference in it whatsoever in the damage, the fire rate. The only difference is that Getaway Artists actually do give you grenade energy when your Arc Soul hits an enemy. Now, I wouldn't shy past that, because that is actually relatively very strong. You can pretty much have your Arc Soul up permanently without having to take any elemental wall mods or anything to regenerate your grenade energy. So this means you can actually opt into other mods and make different types of builds, which for sure I will do in the future if you guys would like to stick around and see those. But like I said, now you're going to be able to have an infinite Arc Soul with that 71% damage increase at all times. In this gameplay you're seeing, I'm purposely not shooting just so you can see how much the Arc Soul will add clear. And you can imagine once this is doing more damage and also you just shooting your gun in general, this is actually going to be relatively nice. But now that bears the question, does running Getaway Artist actually do more for you than just running the Arc Soul aspect? A thing to note, you don't actually have to run the Arc Soul aspect to get the benefits if you are running Getaway Artist. That means you could take your other two aspects like Lightning Surge and Electrostatic Mine, and if we potentially see a fourth aspect with the brand new season, obviously we don't have any information on that yet, but if you guys like to see a video on that, I did make one kind of speculating about that, we could also run that as well. So Getaway Artist is essentially giving you another aspect that you don't have to opt into, and it does pair really well with things like Electrostatic Mine, because every single Arc Soul kill you get is going to create an Ionic Trace that will make you amplified, and you can just always have this amplified Arc Soul with unlimited grenade energy, because the Getaway Artist do fill your grenade up. But I do want to talk about, is it even worth running it with all that stuff going for it? Because if you just equip something like Fallen Sunstar here, which basically gives you more energy every time you pick up Ionic Traces, and it also buffs your teammates, giving them ability energy when you pick up your Ionic Traces. This means, since you're always going to be getting ability kills anyway with things like your melee, things like your grenade, the buff of the melee next season, which is going to make that even easier, you can just opt in and run something like the Arc Soul aspect over Lightning Surge, and you're always are going to get that benefit of the amplified Arc Soul. So with that being said, the only real reason to run Getaway Artist is the fact that you can have an on-demand amplified if you ever need it, which is obviously really good for PvP, and the fact that you will get grenade energy back every time your Arc Soul shoots an enemy. But the thing that counterplays into that is the fact is if you just run Fallen Sunstar, all those Ionic Traces you're going to be making with things like your grenade, your melee, like I said previously, even your Arc Soul, if you're running the Arc Soul aspect, you're going to be feeding all your energy back already. So you don't really need to have your Getaway Artist constantly shooting an enemy to get that grenade back, when your Ionic Traces are always going to be giving you your Rift back 24/7, and also Electrostatic Mine is going to make you amplify, which will in return proc the amplified Arc Soul, which is the exact same as Getaway Artist. Another thing to note is that with Arc Soul equipped, your Rift will charge faster when you're around allies, which plays heavily into the Fallen Sunstar because you want to give them ability energy anyway. So I overall think just taking the Arc Soul aspect with just infinite ability energy with Fallen Sunstar is going to make it more team supportive, and it's going to achieve almost the exact same thing that Getaway Artists can do, other than the fact that there are not enemies around. Getaway Artists will be better because you can make yourself amplified to go on and get that amplified arc soul. I definitely think this is more of a PvP focused exotic. I don't think it's going to have much viability in PvE come next season. I think Fallen Sunstar is just pretty much always going to be the better option, but I did want to talk about it a little bit because it does have a little bit of usage, and I know some people like it, but I think if you just ran the other way around with Fallen Sunstar, you're going to get the same mileage and do even more for your team. If you are doing solo play though, I could see where Getaway Artist actually is relatively nice, but like I said, pretty much all times running the Fallen Sunstar build will be better and pretty much give you the same results as Getaway Artist would. And on top of that, the normal Arc Soul also gives all your teammates Arc Souls as well, which can help out a little bit in a boss and DPS scenario with that 71% damage increase. But anyway, I think that's going to do it all for this video. This wasn't to just trash on Getaway Artists. I definitely think they are fun exotic. Like I said, they do see more for PvP than PvE. You know, for solo play, they could be fun, but I would almost always run just the Rift to give your teammates that Arc Soul, have that amplified buff because you're always going to knock traces from your melee Arc Soul itself. I think overall that's the better way to run it, and with 71% damage buff, I'm very excited to see how Arc Souls perform. Let me know what you all think about it in the comments below. Are you going to be running Getaway Artist? You're going to try other builds out? And if you guys like to see any builds, I'm going to be posting a ton of content on the launch of Season 19. So be sure to stick around and consider subscribing, drop a like, turn those notifications on. Also, if you'd like to join my Discord or follow me on any of my socials, all that will be linked in the description below. But just know watching this video is way more than enough, and that every single bit of support from you all is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.